Boats seem to be the cause of a lot of wars, don't you think? Hi everybody, my name is Anthony, and today I'll be talking about the First Barbary War. Yes, there was more than one. So, what were the Barbary Wars? The Barbary Wars were two wars fought between the United States and the Barbary States in North Africa, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, which had some allegiance to the Ottoman Empire, and the independent Kingdom of Morocco. So why don't we start with why these wars happened in the first place? Trade is the lifeblood of a nation, and it makes sense that if you try and take that from somebody, they get pretty angry. The Barbary States practice something called state-sponsored piracy, which is exactly what it sounds like. The state-sponsored ships go out and pirate the sea. There were some countries that the pirates did not raid, such as Great Britain and France, in return for tribute and the promise of "we will destroy you if you attack us." And so begins the story of the Americans and the Barbary States. As a British colony, American ships were allowed to pass through the Mediterranean unharmed, as they were at that point protected by the British. But once the United States formed, that protection was gone and the raids began. Things immediately went downhill. In 1785, the Dey of Algiers, Dey Mohammed, declared war on the United States. Morocco seized an American ship and held it. The United States was in quite the pickle, and had to find a way to deal with the pirates, either diplomatically or militarily. After much deliberation, the American Congress authorized $80,000 for negotiations with Morocco and Algiers. Negotiations with Morocco were successful, and a treaty was signed so that American ships would be safe. Algiers, however, was a far different story. Negotiations never got anywhere, as the funds offered by Congress were never enough to satisfy the Dey of Algiers. While Thomas Jefferson, United States Minister to France, attempted to make further negotiations with Algiers, they all proved futile. A temporary solution soon came about. Portugal. Portugal was at war with Algiers, and American ships were able to pass through the Mediterranean unharmed. But peace came, and as ships were captured, Congress decided to pay tribute to Algiers. Peace? At last? Nope, we aren't even at the First War yet. In 1801, tensions were running high between America and the Barbary States, and Tripoli declared war on the United States. The First Barbary War had begun. American ships under the command of Commodore Richard Dale were deployed to, in the case of war, diplomacy back then was slow, protect American ships. The Commodore did his job and escorted ships, and at one point even blockaded Tripoli. Over the next few years, war went on. Sweden, also at war with Tripoli, assisted American naval forces in their blockade, but soon left the war and paid tribute to Tripoli. As the war dragged on, Congress debated whether or not to buy peace with Tripoli, and it was eventually agreed that peace could be bought. Soon after, a shift in the political landscape occurred, as negotiators were swapped out and Commodore Dale was replaced by Captain Edward Preble. Once Captain Preble arrived, he was notified that Morocco had joined the war against the United States. Following the loss of the frigate Philadelphia, President Jefferson decided to send more ships to help in the conflict. Commodore Samuel Barron would be the commander of 11 new ships coming to fight. Barron was also given the choice of whether or not to begin a land attack of Tripoli. This led to an interesting set of events. The retrieval of the Pasha of Tripoli's older brother whom he had overthrown. Thus began a journey where former Pasha Hamet Karamanli was found by the Americans and recruited to attack Tripoli. On the 27th of April, 1805, the Battle of Derna began. After harshly fighting into the city, a force of mercenaries, Arab forces under the command of Hamet Karamanli, and American Marines took the city. The Pasha then agreed to sign a peace treaty and the First Barbary War ended. The legacy of the First War, despite not often discussed, still lives on today. You can find it in the lyrics of the Marines hymn. In the verse, "From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land, and sea." Thanks so much for watching the video, and if you enjoyed it, subscribe and like, the good stuff. If you're interested in this topic after watching this video, then I recommend looking further into it. The number of stories and sources are endless. As always, if there are any errors, please let me know. Once more, thanks for watching, and out.